Namaste, welcome to Yin and Restorative Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua, and for today's practice, you'll want to have all the very many props so that you can have more choices in our different postures. 2 blocks, a strap, a bolster, which is the pillow, and a blanket. Find any comfortable way for you to sit, and if it is comfortable or appropriate in your body, maybe start in hero's pose like this. You could either sit on your calves directly or sit on a block between your ankles. And if you are sitting in hero's pose, just make sure to take care of your knees by not turning out or turning in your feet. Flatten the tops of your feet on the floor and let your knees be no wider than hips distance apart. So as you're orienting yourself in your yoga space, I want to start to read again another excerpt from Meditations from the Mat, written by Rolf Gates and Katrina Kennison. And he points to the second limb of yoga, where we have a practice called tapas, which is often defined as fiery discipline. And it's not only the discipline to show up to your physical yoga practice, but it's the spiritual discipline that invites us to so-called do the right thing. We don't like to use the words right, wrong, but to listen to your intuitive wisdom, even when a choice to be made might be challenging. So he starts with a quote by Hermann Hesse. Now, he thought, that all these transitory things have slipped away from me again. I stand once more beneath the sun, as I once stood as a small child. Nothing is mine. I know nothing. I possess nothing. I have learned nothing. He had to smile again. Yes, his destiny was strange. He was going backwards, and now he stood empty and naked and ignorant in the world. But he did not grieve about it. No, he even felt a great desire to laugh at himself, to laugh at this strange, foolish world. Whenever I think of tapas, burning away my impurities, I imagine it as the yogic equivalent of being in the fat burning zone of exercise. I envision tapas burning off some of the toxins I consumed with my Chinese takeout last night. This is, in fact, the case. There is an aspect of our yoga practice that is simply about staying healthy, but a far more profound aspect of tapas is described above in the lines from Siddhartha, which I just read. The spiritual energy released by our practice strips away all that is false, the way a wind blows sand from the surface of a mirror. Most of us begin a spiritual practice having known only our false selves. And so as those layers begin to fall away, it actually feels as if we are going backward at first instead of forward. Our practice strips away the edifice we built to our false self. Suddenly our whole way of knowing, of doing, of being comes into question. Our certainties fall away, along with the persona that we've long presented to the world. Many of us find that we have built our houses on sand, that the lives we've created cannot stand up to the heat of our practice. We may lose a job, relationships, the old playmates and playthings. We stand once more as a child in the world, open and empty. This, too, is tapas. In my own life, I felt just as Siddhartha did, amazed at all I had lost, and at the same time, just as amazed that I no longer valued what I had lost. My old self, the old world, the old friends. When two people who have experienced this aspect of tapas discuss it, it is invariably an occasion for much laughter. The laughter of relief at no longer needing to be our false self, and the laughter of joy at such good fortune. It's very interesting that I opened this book by just closing my eyes and sticking my finger and asking, what do we need to read about today? Because this was the theme of my meditation this morning that came up as an insight. And that idea of self-honesty. Now really digging into the narratives that go on in our everyday lives. I won't dig more now so we can start a physical practice, but just keep that in mind, that idea of truthfulness to ourselves. And then we'll enter that a little more in meditation. So now as you're sitting still, maybe with the eyes closed, notice what truths your body is expressing to you through its sensations right now. Sense the flow of the breath just as it is. Observing your energy. Bring a kind attention to any emotions you're feeling right now. Attuning to your heart and your mind. And what's present to truly acknowledge for yourself in this moment. As you let the breath in a little deeper, feel the surface below your body root into that grounding support. As you exhale slowly through the mouth, allow your crown to rise, bringing a lightness and length throughout your spine. Longer in-breaths without strain, and slow exhalations. Allowing each conscious breath to immerse you deeper into the present moment. In this moment, I invite you to identify something that you appreciate, offering gratitude. And then begin to define your intention for your practice today. What is your personal prayer? Now I invite you to choose someone to offer your practice to, making a dedication of your efforts. Setting our intentions and dedications, let's create a resonant space to share practice in together by chanting Om 3 times. Starting to use Ujjayi pranayama as a means to invite calm, focus, and energetic balance. Closing the lips, continue to breathe slowly and evenly in and out through your nose, while creating a gentle whispering sound by softly narrowing the back of your throat. As you listen to that sound, establish a very slow and mindful pace. Take your time to patiently expand to the fullness of the in-breath and to arrive at the emptiness of the out-breath. And let that guide the pace that you'll move the body as we start a gentle warm-up before we hold some yin and restorative postures. So come on down to your hands and knees, all fours, as we set up for cat to cow to loosen up the spine, neck, and shoulders. You might want to also stretch your inner wrists by spinning out your fingertips to whatever degree is comfortable. Stacking your shoulders above your wrists, step your knees back a couple of inches behind your hips so your spine has some space to move around. Now, as you inhale, glide your chest forward and slowly coil it up, dropping the shoulders back into cow pose. As you exhale, contract your abdomen, lowering your head to round your back into cat pose. Again, inhale, draw your chest forward and gaze up. Exhale from your belly in, dropping your head to round. And then take several more cycles of Vidalasana, cat-cow pose on your own pace. Breath. If you want to change up the stretch in your wrists as you do this, you could also make fists out of your hands, stretching the outer wrist now. Give yourself a fist bump like this while placing the backs of your fists on the ground so that your elbows are flared apart off the floor. And you can continue some cat-cows or hold still and just be a little more gentle, slowly shifting your weight forward to arrive at the amount of stretch you want to feel in your forearms and outer wrists. So stretching out our wrists in other ways. We're going to start with the extremities of the body and work our way towards the center. Though we are at the spine. So set your hands flat on the floor now, and then let's give the wrists a little bit of strengthening. So flatten the palms, your index fingers pointing straight ahead or slightly turn them out. If you need a little more space for the fronts of your shoulders, stretch your thumbs flat towards each other. Now feel that the base of each finger, including the thumb, that's right here where it attaches towards the meat of the palm, stays on the ground as your shoulders remain right above your wrists. Inhale, lift the heels of your palms. So this should feel a little bit of heat. And then exhale, lower gently the heels of your palms. It's a really slow and very subtle movement. Inhale, lift the heels of the palms. See that your thumbs are completely flat on the floor. And then exhale, lower the heels of your palms. Try another 3 to 5 more breaths of that. So you're just lifting this part of your palm, base of each finger and thumb stays on the ground. It's a strengthening exercise actually for your wrists. And we're going to get into, go ahead and finish the last round. And then lean back towards your legs and just shake out your hands like you just washed them and you're air drying, or circle them out at the wrists. Flick. So let's get into the shoulder blades a bit, just fine-tuning our awareness of the movement there. So I'm going to show you, even though you can't see my shoulder blades, but we're going to focus on the movement of gliding the shoulder blades towards each other like you're squeezing a marker between the shoulder blades, and then spreading the shoulder blades apart. So as they glide together, you're squeezing them. That's retraction. And then as you splay them apart, they actually rise out to the sides, and that's protraction. Think of a protractor. So to do that, stack your shoulders above your wrists. Keep your shoulders above your wrists. Belly is slightly firm, so the spine is not moving in cat-cow. Think of keeping a flat back as you do this. Gaze on the ground ahead of the thumb, steady the gaze. And then as you inhale, you're squeezing the shoulder blades together so the chest might sink slightly. And then as you exhale, you're spreading the shoulder blades apart. So the upper back might slightly lift. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, splay the shoulder blades apart. Try about 3 more cycles of breath with that. So very different than cat-cow. Really using that isolated movement of the scapula. Squeeze and protract. Squeeze and protract. The elbows stay relatively straight. And then relax here. Now let's stretch the muscles that help to create that movement using your two blocks. Place them on their medium height like this, so they're crossing the top of your mat. It's the second level height. And with your knees at least a foot behind the blocks, straighten the arms forward with your palms face down. From your shoulders, spin your outer upper arms towards the ground. Create that protraction of the shoulder blades, the spreading apart, and then deep press the shoulder blades. Move them down the back. Keeping those two actions, bend your elbows and place them exactly your shoulders distance apart on the blocks. Press your fingertips into each other. Then step your knees back till they're about a couple inches behind the hips. Now, as you breathe slowly, trace your thumbs down the back of your skull, down the back of your neck, as far down as your thumbs will go, allowing your head to gently drop towards the ground, letting your chest sink and expand, but not letting the belly dump down. So slightly firm in the belly, support lengthening your lower back, and draw your hips back. Center on the sound of your breathing for about 5 slow breaths here. If you feel your elbows sliding apart, come back up and adjust. You want to make sure your elbows only remain shoulders distance apart. So staying here, a few more breaths. Continue to rotate your triceps downward. Draw the shoulder blades back. Stretching into your triceps and your latissimus dorsi, your lats. One more deep breath. And with your exhalation, firm the belly in more so you can rise up and off the blocks. And now let's place the blocks as you're sitting back on your shins alongside your thighs in case you need the support. Let's stretch into the tops of the feet here. So you could either place your right hand on the front of your right knee as you point the toes underneath you and lift the knee gently. 5 breaths one side and then switch knees. Or think of a rocking chair. You can use the blocks under your hands or hands on the floor and lean back, lifting both knees at the same time. So we're stretching into the fronts of your feet, fronts of your ankles. You might feel it in your shins. And continue to notice the breath. How much attention have you given your ankles and feet and shins today? You might close your eyes and visualize bringing loving energy into those areas in your body. Imagining breathing into them. 3 more breaths. And gently lower your shins and knees. Crawl your hands forward so that you can sort of like bull kicking, tuck your toes behind you. And now let's lean back slowly. You can have your hands on blocks, which can make it more easeful like this. The further back you lean, and maybe even bring the spine upright, the more intense you might feel the stretch in the soles of your feet, in your Achilles tendon area. You might feel a little bit at the bottom of your calves. If you're completely upright in your spine and you're leaning totally on your heels, you might bring the hands behind your back and interlace your fingers, helping to broaden your collarbones as you draw the shoulders down and seal in the bottom of your front ribs, lengthening from the base of your spine through the back of your skull. Tune into 5 more breaths here. You might imagine breathing into where you're feeling the most sensations in your body right now. Now, maybe using the help of the blocks alongside you, start to slowly rise up to stand, making your way to the top of your mat. You might like to have the blocks in front of your mat. As we begin, slow version of Sun Salutation C, or extra slow. Separate your feet hips width apart. Bring the movement throughout the whole body now. And join your palms at your heart center, realigning with the energy of your intention. Come back to that. Letting our movements be a gesture of gratitude to the sun. Surya Namaskar C variation. As you breathe in, slowly raise your arms forward. Drop the shoulders, tilt your heart towards the sun. As you breathe out, you might bend the knees, bowing forward from the hips with a long spine. Place your fingertips on the ground beside your heels. Inhale, step your left knee behind you. And then look up. Hold the breath. Step back to plank pose, top of a push-up. As you exhale, first, lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin, sticking the tailbone up. Hug the elbows to your ribs, look forward. Inhale, slide forward to the ground, tops of the feet on the mat. Cobra, roll the shoulders back. Tucking your toes, exhale, press up and lift the hips to downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb and lower your right knee, gazing up. Keep the hands down. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Pressing down to your feet, inhale, slowly rise, arms overhead, rolling your shoulders back and down. Exhale, join your hands in prayer from your crown to your heart center. Second side, one more. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, tilt your heart towards the sun. Exhale, bow towards the earth. Plant your fingertips down. Inhale, step your right knee behind you to a kneeling lunge and gaze up. As you hold your breath, step into plank pose. Slowly exhale, lower knees, chest, then chin in Ashtangasana. Inhale, slither forward, ground the tops of your feet in Cobra. Draw the shoulder heads back. Exhale, lift your hips, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb. Lower your left knee, gaze up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. From down to your feet, inhale, slowly rise. Lifting your heart towards the sun. Exhale, joining your palms at your heart in Padasana. Pause, tune into a couple deep breaths. Notice what you're feeling in your body. We're going to move through a couple more variations of Sun Salutation A this time. So breathe in, sweep your arms overhead, roll your shoulders back and down. Exhale, fold from your hips. Bend your knees if needed so you're not rounding your back. Press down on your shins, blocks or the floor. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward. Draw the shoulders back. You could actually place your hands on the floor, step into plank. You could have your knees on the ground or legs straight. And then exhale, glide forward, engage the belly, graze your elbows by your ribs, slowly lower all the way down. Inhale to Cobra, draw the shoulders back. Exhale to downward facing dog. In downward dog, spend about 5 breaths. If your body needs to move, explore what helps to loosen it up. Pedaling the feet in place, swiveling the hips, shaking and nodding the head. Come back to the sound of your breathing. From downward facing dog, bend your knees, empty the breath, look forward. Then walk or softly jump to the top of your mat, forward fold. Press your shins, blocks to the floor. Inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Root down to your feet. Inhale, slowly rise all the way to the top, lifting your heart towards the sun. Exhale, joining your hands at your heart. Last time, take your gentle version of sun salutation A. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Exhale, bow forward. Press your shins, blocks to the floor. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step back to your version of plank, what your body's asking for. You might have the knees on the floor and glide forward. Exhale, gently lower all the way down. Inhale to cobra, draw the shoulders back. Exhale to downward facing dog. This time, let the movement dissolve as you steady your gaze and rebalance slow breaths for 3 to 5 cycles. Though the body is still, continue to lift energy through the hips, drawing them back. Soften the neck, lift the shoulders back. And then when you're ready, lower onto your knees. And let's set up for restorative child's pose. Placing a block. You can adjust the height, you'll find out in a moment. Start with a medium height and take your pillow, should trace the midline of your mat. Straddle the back end of your pillow with your thighs so your inner edges of your feet can be together. And you can either sit back on your heels. It's up to you how far back on the pillow you want to be. Now the block is for your forehead, so you might have a gap between the pillow and the block, so you can place your nose there and breathe comfortably. Just like this. So adjust what you're resting your head on so it doesn't feel like you're straining the neck. You're creating as much natural space both in the front and the back of your neck. And then experiment with where to place your arms that really feels relaxing for your shoulders. You're not using your arms to hold yourself in the pose. You're more surrendering into the pose. You might have the arms back by your sides. You might stretch the arms forward, maybe turn the palms up. Experiment, and then we're going to be here for 3 minutes. So make any last little adjustments so that you can welcome stillness and just allow the pelvis to naturally sink with the support of gravity, creating length for your lower spine naturally. Allow your shoulders to soften back, your skull to rest heavily. And then sense the breath coming and going. Let your attention swim in the sound waves of your own breathing.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva He Nath Narayana Vasudeva He Nath Narayana Vasudeva Gopala 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 Hey Gopala 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 Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nata Narayana Vasudeva He Nata Narayana Vasudeva He Nata Narayana Vasudeva Gopal, Gopal,
Tune into one more deep breath before you slowly begin to move out of this posture. And as you're ready, press your hands into the floor. Let your head be heavy as you're gently lifting it up.
Gopal,
Rising up to sit. Let's turn to face the wide width of your mat so that we can open up sideways. Take your strap with you. You might feel comfortable sitting on a folded blanket. So we're going to extend the right leg out, placing the ball of your right foot into the strap, whether it's the loop or the center of the strap. You can have a long tail to hold on to. And turning out the left thigh too, bend the left knee like this. So if it helps you to sit up taller, just sit on a folded blanket, you can do that. Kick into the strap with your right foot as you spread the toes. You're also flexing the foot so the toes are curling back towards the right shin. With your left hand overhead, hold the strap. You're going to take this into a side bend. And with your right arm crossed in front of your body, take hold of your right shin or outer ankle. Root down to your left and right sitting bones, and as you breathe in, lift up from the base of your spine to the top of your head. Draw the shoulders down. And as you breathe out, start to lean towards your straight leg, walking the left hand down the strap. Pause where you are, press down through both sitting bones, and lift from the lower spine to the crown. Shoulders still relaxed, continue to side bend if it's available. So now as you let your left knee drop open, and you're holding the outer leg with your right hand, you're using those counter forces to keep you grounded so that left sitting bone does not rise from the floor. Tune into 5 more breaths. Try to invite space throughout all sides of your neck here. With a slow inhale, start to rise up, let go of the strap with the left hand. And stretch the left leg out to its side. Bend the right knee. Let's place the strap around the ball of your left foot, flexed. Hold the strap in your right hand overhead. And as you bend the right knee, turning out both legs, cross your left arm in front of your torso and take hold of your outer right shin or ankle. Sit up tall, lengthen through the center. Draw the shoulders down, breathe in, and now start to side bend towards your left foot, walking the right hand down the strap. Where you are, press through both sitting bones. Breathe in, lift from the lower spine to the crown. Keep the shoulders relaxing down. And then exhale, if it's available, continue to side bend. So as the right knee falls open and you're holding the outer leg with your left hand, use that to keep your right sitting bone grounded. 5 more breaths. On your next inhale, slowly lift your spine, remove the strap from your foot. And let's set up for a version of Gomukhasana. So now extending your right leg forward, turn out your left thigh and cross it as much as you can over your right thigh, grounding the sitting bones, maybe sitting on a blanket. So those of you that want to have more sensation stretching into your hamstring, keep the right leg straight. Otherwise, more for the glutes and outer hips, bend the right knee too, as long as you can keep both sitting bones rooted down, and flare the feet apart. Now with a strap in your right hand, so opposite leg on top, opposite arm up, holding the strap. Dangle the strap behind your back. And with your left hand, rotate your right outer upper arm forward. Bring the elbow behind your head and press both of your shoulders down. Lift your chin naturally spaced away from your chest and glide your chin towards the back of your throat. Reach the left hand behind you and catch the bottom end of the strap. Walk your hands as close together as you can. If your hands meet, you can drop the strap, clasp the hands, and then sit up a little taller as you breathe in. Keep the length of your spine and begin hinging forward from your hips, breath by breath. About 10 breaths here in cow face pose, Gomukhasana. So you're only bowing to the degree in which you're not beginning to round the back or close off the throat with your chin. So letting go of any unnecessary tension. I see that as part of tapas in our physical practice. It requires self-honesty, like what really is my range of motion where I can maintain the most integrity in my breath, in my spine. Part of the letting go of the shoulds and shouldn'ts and expectations of the ego mind. I see that as tapas. One more full breath. Press down to your hips and breathe in, slowly lead from your chest to rise. Release your arms, stretch the legs forward. Either take a moment to be still or any gentle, natural movement that comes from what your body needs. Feel your body breathe. So if you straighten the bottom leg on your first side, I invite you to do the same on your second side, just for a balanced posture. Otherwise, if it's available, bend both knees. This time hold the strap in your left hand as you dangle the strap behind your back. Raise the left arm. With your right hand, rotate your left tricep forward. Bring the elbow behind your head and press your shoulders down. Lift your chin away from the chest. Glide it towards the back of your throat. Reach the right hand behind you below. Catch the bottom end of the strap. And then walk your hands as close together as you can. Maybe your hands clasp. Sitting a little taller, breathe in, lift through the back of your skull. Hinging from your hips, exhale. 10 breaths. Pressing down through your pelvis, breathe in, lead with your chest to rise. Release your arms, stretch your legs again, and pause for about 3 breaths. What are you sensing right now? We're going to make our way to the ground in a moment, or a little lower to the ground. But let's, before we transition there, practice a breathing technique. Help us to invite a bit more of that yin energy, that introspection and stillness. So find a way to sit that you can breathe comfortably. You're grounded, alert, and relaxed. This breathing technique is called 3-part breath, or Durga Pranayama. You might imagine that your torso is a jar. The bottom of the jar is your pelvic floor. The top of the jar is the top of your neck. And divide that jar into 3 cross sections. From your belly button down to your pelvic floor is the first, or the lowest cross section, encompassing the lower back as well. The second, or middle cross section, encompasses most of your rib cage. And the third, or the top cross section, is from your chest up through your shoulders, neck, and upper back. We're going to inhale 1/3 of the breath into the first cross section, then pause. Then we'll inhale again for another 1/3 into the mid section, then pause. Then we'll inhale the last 1/3 all the way up to the top of the neck. And as we hold the breath for a moment, I want to focus on relaxing your body. Then through the nose, we'll exhale really slowly out through all 3 parts. Then we'll hold the breath at the bottom, sitting tall and relaxed. That's 1 cycle. Let's practice 3 cycles of this technique together, and then 2 cycles on your own. This helps to calm the nervous system more deeply, but also become more aware of how fully we're breathing in. So you might, to indicate the top and bottom parts of your torso, place a hand on your chest and a hand on your lower belly. You might also close the eyes to visualize where you're breathing into. Prepare to begin by emptying this breath into the lowest part of your torso. Inhale 1/3. Pause. Into the middle of your torso. Inhale 1/3. Pause. Into your chest, upper back, and neck. Inhale the last 1/3. Hold your breath. Relax your body. And through your nose, very slowly empty the breath. Hold your breath out. Cycle 2, inhale the lowest part. Pause. Inhale the middle. Pause. Inhale the top. Hold it in. Exhale slowly. Hold it out. 3rd cycle, inhale the first. Pause. Inhale the middle. Pause. Inhale to the top. Hold and relax. Exhale very slowly. Hold the breath out. And on your own, continue 2 more cycles of Durga Pranayama. Take your time to finish at your pace. When you do finish, release control of your breathing. As you breathe naturally, observe anything you're feeling after that practice. As you continue to breathe naturally, please bring a block with you. You might place a second block off to the side near the rear of your mat and lower down onto your back. Bend your knees, step your feet on the ground, and lifting your pelvis, slide the block underneath the flat part of your lower back. Make sure it's a comfortable spot, not too high up towards the rib cage, not too low where it feels unstable. Then just pause here for a moment. The feet are about hips width apart, parallel to each other. You could rest your palms face down on your frontal hip bones, just giving your hip flexors a gentle grounding touch so that the weight of your hands encourages possibly a release for the lower back. Continue to let the breath flow naturally as you're sensing the breath. More attuned to it, attuned to your energy. Now here are a couple of options. You could choose to keep your feet on the ground and focus more on broadening your heart space and relaxing the fronts of your shoulders, and either stay here or tilt the block to the second level or add a second block like this so that you're in restorative bridge pose. You might also bring the arms down by your sides and turn the palms face up, tilting the chin back. Or with whatever level of the block you feel stable, raise your legs straight up and you're in supported shoulder stand, which is more of a cooling inversion that helps to stimulate the blood flow, relax the feet and the legs. So see what your body is asking for and respond. And then we're going to be there for at least 10 slow or just natural breaths. We'll be here a little longer than 10. Invite your body to feel as effortless as possible in the position that you've chosen. Let's extend this time here to 3 minutes now that you've chosen that more restful version of the pose. 3 minutes. If your legs are up in the air, gently begin to lower your feet to the ground. Carefully remove the props from under your body, lowering your pelvis to the earth. With your knees still bent and your feet on the ground, slide your feet apart until they're wider apart than your hips distance, maybe even mat width apart. Separate your knees just as wide apart as your feet. Have your arms out of the way of your legs and drop both of your knees to your right side. Coming into an open twist. Pause here and just notice what you're feeling around the left side of your pelvis, like the lower back, the front of the hip. If you're not feeling much, pick up your right ankle and place it above your left knee. Point your left knee directly forward so it's tracing the midline of your mat. And if you're wanting to feel even more sensation, raise your arms overhead as you bend the elbows to frame your head. Catch hold of opposite elbows with your hands. The shoulders relax down your back. We'll be here for about 8 more breaths. With your knees still bent, step your feet on the ground again, wider apart than your hips distance. Separate your knees just as wide apart as your feet. Relax your arms, then drop your knees both to your left side. Point your right knee down the midline of your mat. Pause here. Bring your attention to the right side of your pelvis and around there. Notice any sensations. And if you're not feeling much, lift your left foot and cross your left ankle just above your right knee. Now notice what you feel. Stay here or add on by raising the arms overhead. And if you did so on the first side, switch the hold of the elbow on top. Let the bones in your body submit to the weight of gravity. Start to unravel from the pose and draw your bent knees into your chest. Give yourself another minute, whether you want to gently move your body, like circling the legs to massage your back, or come into happy baby or something else that's relaxing for you. Feel free to use any of your props as support so that your body can find a comfortable resting pose for Shavasana. For example, for lower back support, you might place your pillow right across your mat underneath the backs of your knees, and allow your feet to splay apart wider than hips distance. Support for your fronts of the shoulders to open the chest. You could come into supported fish pose if you like, which is a restorative posture, placing a block underneath the lowest tips of your shoulder blades, either the block crossing the mat on the medium height or tracing the midline of the mat on the medium height. And then a second block on the tallest or medium height will support the back of your skull, turning the palms up by your sides. So these are just options. See what your body needs to feel comfortably still for about 5 minutes of corpse pose. And then as you arrive, make any last little adjustment so that you can fully be present in your body in this time. Consciously releasing effort, no longer controlling the breath. Shavasana. Letting your awareness scan your physical body. How does your body feel right now? As you keep your eyes closed, notice what parts of your body want to start moving first. Let them ease out of stillness. Reaching through the arms and the toes. Begin to slowly turn over onto your right side, letting your head rest for a few moments. Sensing the breath. Sensing your energy. Does it feel any different now? As you're ready, press into the ground with your hands and slowly lift your body up. Find a way to sit comfortably for 5 minutes in meditation. Sitting in a way that you can feel grounded, alert, and relaxed. You might place your hands in a mudra that offers the feeling tone you're reaching for, such as Gyan Mudra. You bring the thumb and first finger to touch and let the palms rest face up on your lap. Helps to tune deeper awareness within. You might close your eyes or steady a gentle downcast gaze. Let's begin. You might rest your awareness on the breath, naturally flowing. If your attention leaves the present moment, gently come back to the breath, which is in the present. As your awareness begins to expand deeper in the now, sense the nature of your being. Underneath the surface of wavering thoughts. Sense how the thoughts, the changing feelings, and the moving stimuli are all on the surface. Let yourself go deeper to the surface. Notice how you're feeling now, emotionally and mentally. I invite you to acknowledge anything to offer gratitude for. And in your mind, I invite you to repeat your intention or say it out loud again. And then remember to whom you dedicated today's practice. You might envision them receiving some kind of benefit. And together, let's close the practice. Chanting Om 3 times, sense the resonance you're both giving out into the world and integrating within you. Bowing in, recognize the light within. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.